Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Live Coding After Hours, Flutter Edition. My name is Roman Jacques. I am a Flutter GDE. I am lead organizer at GDG Lawrence. I am also a mentor for the Northeast, and I'm pretty pleased to welcome you to my safe haven, to my, just giving you exclusive access to my development process, just me giving you exclusive access to the place where I code. I'm mostly like at this time developing applications and whatnot. This time is the turn of Flutter. I've been developing this application for the past 5 weeks. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already. Today is episode number 6, and we're gonna be continuing building casual games in Flutter. I've been developing this application for the past couple of weeks. I'm gonna be showing you what the application is. So this is the application that I've been building. It's a casual game. Some of you have seen the application that I've been building. This is a pretty cool, simple game called Skipping Frog. It's about a frog that jumps over like a pond, and then you have to do it the fastest way possible, and you collect points along the way, and you have fun also at the same time. It's a pretty cool, you may consider like simple, or just because I'm building a Flutter casual game, I may not be doing like really cool strategies. Well, I am. I'm actually implementing state management, a bunch of cool animations, explicit animations, inter-widget communication, custom widgets that I've been building, really cool stuff. I just hope that you guys stick around for a little bit and enjoy this hour and a half that I'll be coding. So again, like I said, I am Roman, I am a Flutter GDE, and I'm pretty pleased to welcome you to my stream. Again, giving you exclusive access to my tricks and tips and tricks, my strategies on how to build Flutter applications, and then you get to have front seat on that process. So thank you very much again for joining for one more week. This is episode 6. Week 6, where I've been developing this application. I just wanted to say thank you everybody for joining. Make sure to subscribe, tweet, there's a QR code right here in the lower right corner of your screen. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe and like these videos if you find them useful. There's a bunch of other content that I'm going to be dropping very soon. I'm also going to be dropping some links later about like some of the workshops that I've been putting together just for you guys, so that you guys can continue in your Flutter learning journey. But today I'm just building applications. I want to bring you along in the ride. So stay tuned, sit back, relax, enjoy, grab your coffee, your water, whatever you want, and just stay there. You can leave comments in the chat. Hey guys, how everybody doing? Oh, Sirhan, Damien, Randall, a bunch of people already in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Again, like I said, we're gonna make this weekly until I publish it to the store. So all of you will also see me publishing this application to the store once I'm done with it. So let's continue. Let's see where we left off last time. And of course, as is customary, I'm going to remind you that if you tweet along this session, if you tweet with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding, you could get a chance to get a cool t-shirt like this one. So make sure to tweet your fingers away. Make sure to tweet with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding at the end of the session. I am going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt just like this one, so you can rock it, so you can brag about with your friends that you are a Flutter developer and that you were here in this particular stream. So thank you very much everybody for joining. Damien, how you doing, buddy? And Randall, of course, another OG Flutter GDE in the house. Sirhan, my man, how you doing, buddy? How's your application doing? By the way, your t-shirt's on the way, buddy. Thank you so much for joining one more time. Thank you, everybody. We see other people joining. Again, if you're shy, if you don't want to leave me a comment on the chat, that's okay. But just stay there and just see me build this application to completion. I'm gonna be adding more features to it. We're gonna be adding more animations. We're gonna be delving more into the game logic for this application, so you can see it come to fruition a little more. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Just here to keep me honest. Thank you, Randall. I definitely appreciate you being here. Even you being in these events again, where I participate in, where you're just joining, brings me a lot of validation. So thank you so much, buddy. Thank you so much for being there. So this is where we left off last time. Again, I haven't touched it. This is exactly where we left it last time. Remember, this is a simple, casual game, but we're implementing really cool strategies, and you've seen this application come to fruition little by little. So let me just rebuild it one more time. Let me just show you exactly where we left it off. So I'm just going to rebuild the application. Just show me a splash screen. Then there's the landing page where you have like the logo, you have the little character, and then you have, for example, like options for help, start, and options. The start, remember, takes you right into the game, and the point of the game is to jump across the pond, across many rows of leaves, and make sure not to fall, because then you're gonna get like a life deducted. That is what we're gonna be doing today. Before, we were just doing, remember, you have to swipe in the direction in order to make this game come alive, and you want to trigger it to start. You have to sweep in the direction of the leaf, of the next leaf that you see. So now when you sweep, let's say to the you swipe to the left, and you swipe up, you swipe left, you swipe left, you swipe up. That's how you make the character jump. So if you swipe in the wrong direction, then you should be able to get like this message that says, oops, watch your step, and then so on and so forth. Thank you, Randall. By the way, actually, thank you. Yeah, any criticism on the UI, I totally accept it. Why? Because I'm cheap as hell, and I didn't pay a designer, although I wish I should have, but I drew those characters myself. I drew all of that myself. So yeah, appreciate any comments, any comments, anything that you might want to leave on the chat. I totally appreciate it. This is me being cheap, not me being like efficient or anything. It's just because I like to draw, and I consider myself a frustrated cartoonist. Just to be honest with you, yeah. It was just me, all of that. No designers. Again, I'm a cheap bastard. That's all I am. Anyway, let's continue, guys. I just hope you guys, Randall, keep me honest, man. If you see me doing something wrong, let me know. I'll definitely take it into consideration and incorporate it in the application. So let's proceed. We got a lot to cover because I'm going to bring more animations. I'm going to bring more of the game logic into the game. So now we're bringing it more to completion. I'm estimating probably like a couple more sessions. We're going to be done with this game, and then I'll be able to publish it. And yes, you will help me publish it. You will see me one session. We'll do it where we publish it to the Google Play Store, and another session where we'll publish it to the App Store. Then we'll cross our fingers. Let's see how that goes. But anyway, thank you everybody. Hey Nick, what's up, buddy? How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding throughout this session so you can get a cool t-shirt like that. So please, I expect all of that. Thank you, Damien. Say, did you have a video about any design challenge? It would be nice to see some advanced stuff. Definitely. Right now it's just that I'm finishing this application, but you will definitely make sure to stay tuned on this channel because I'm preparing a lot of great content. I'm gonna be dropping also the link to the workshops that I've been putting together, and they varies between like the levels of expertise if you want to build. Sorry about that. These are some of the workshops that I've been putting together. Now I'm even delving more into cloud because I like to mix things up a little bit, and because I'm also a Google certified cloud architect, I like to delve into the cloud as well. So that's why some of the aspects of this application will actually be connecting to a Firebase backend using like Cloud Firestore and whatnot. So stay tuned. Let's start, guys. Please keep me honest. Make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding throughout this session so that you can get a cool t-shirt like that. Let's start. So I left it. This is where I left last time. Sorry about that. This is where I left last time, where I can swipe and you see that lives are not deducting. The time is not running. Definitely, yeah. You see the life is not deducting. I can still gain. I can still swipe all the way till the end. But I'm not gonna do that because today I'm gonna focus on the losing workflow. I'm gonna work on the top panel. I'm gonna make sure that at least we have the counter going and the lives are getting deducted. And then when you lose, then we're gonna show a message to the user like, oh, I'm sorry, you want to try to play again, something like that. Let's try. Let's start. One of the things that I wanted to do, I usually do that, and Randall probably does it as well as an expert in Flutter. You try to make things work first. You try to make things work, and then you refactor. Try not refactor from the beginning. Then that way, once you see it consolidated, you see it working, then you try to make it see, okay, how can I improve it? That's always the way I go. I do something once, then I do like another sweep at it, and I try to improve it. I always do that. So let's start. I wanted to do one improvement because the way that I'm performing the navigation, I'm using navigation 1.0 in Flutter. For example, for those of you who want to support, like nested navigations, you want to do deep linking, you probably want to switch to Navigator 2.0 in Flutter. So you can look at that, and then you have a more robust navigation system. You can use something also like Go Router. That is another package, also from the great Chris Sells, one of the creators of Flutter. Is not in the team anymore, but he definitely was the one who worked on that package, Go Router. That's an amazing package that I suggest. But this application is pretty simple. The application is using just a flat navigation. It's just very straightforward. So I'm using Navigator.of context, and then pushing screens back and forth, and using like that strategy, the route strategy, right? So we're gonna fix that a little bit. We're gonna be using a global key that actually has a reference to the main navigation. That's what we're gonna do. Let me show you how to do that. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, of course, is going to the here, like in the helpers, you see I have my utils class. This is where I have like a bunch of factory methods that generate some of the logic in this application. Let me just shrink this a little bit. And I'm going to create, for example, like right here at the top, I'm going to create a static global key. So global keys are very good, very useful in Flutter if you want to create some uniqueness in your widgets, and you want to, for example, let's say persist the position of your widget in the widget tree. Global keys help you do that, because every time like your widget gets rebuilt, your widget tree gets rebuilt, you want to make sure that you continue having the same reference to that widget. You want to persist the position at which the widget is located. You want to do that with a global key. Global keys are also good for doing this. For example, I'm going to say navigation state. If I say, Navigator state, because it's the Navigator. Remember, Flutter provides you the Flutter framework gives you a Navigator, meaning the access to the navigation capabilities so that you can push screens back and forth, left and right, wherever. And then this is a way for you to create a reference so that anywhere in the application, you can tap into navigation capabilities of your application. So the way to do it is I'm going to create like a key. I'm going to call it main nav. By the way, I'm just going to collapse this so you can see the whole code. I'm going to say main nav, and I'm just going to instantiate it as a global key. So this global key, now I'm going to use it so that I can map the main navigation strategy in my application. So anywhere I can use, instead of me saying like navigator.of context blah blah blah, I can just say utils.mainNav current state dot push, and then I can push screens into the navigation stack. So let's try this. So the way to do it is you create your static key, a global key of type navigation state. Then now you implement it in that, whether you're going to do like nested navigations, like you use maybe the Navigator widget. In this particular case, I'm going to be using it in the main page right here. The main page, of course, as you remember, it has the material application, the material app widget. And then the material app widget has this Navigator key. That is now what I'm going to be using here. I'm going to say utils.mainNav. Just by doing this, I'm actually attaching a reference, like a pointer, to that material, the navigation strategy, the navigation stack that is available in the material app, so I can push screens left and right here in this application. So anywhere now, what I'm gonna do refactor is anywhere where I say navigator.off, check this out. All I'm gonna do is just replace it by utils dot look. So I'm gonna replace this by, for example, if I want to do this, instead of saying navigator.off, I say utils.mainNav.current state dot, and then I can do like pushing of stuff in to the Navigator stack. Hey Dyer, what's up, buddy? How you doing? How was the honeymoon? I'm glad to have you here, buddy. I'm glad that you took a break from your business schedule, marriage responsibilities, all the coding that you do, and all the gaming and all the streaming that you do to be here. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. By the way, if you tweet Flutter Live Coding during this session, you have the chance to win a cool t-shirt, a cool Flutter t-shirt just like this one, so that you can brag to your friends that you were in the stream and that you're gonna get a t-shirt like this. So make sure to do that. Let me just so remember, this is what I was saying. We're gonna be replacing the navigator.off for that aspect. So instead of doing, for example, Navigator.context, we're going to replace this whole thing by saying utils. We're going to do utils.mainNav.current state, which is now the Navigator state. Now you can just do anything. So we're going to replace Navigator.off by this. What this will allow is it will be, you will actually streamline the way that you push pages throughout your application. You don't have to depend on the context directly. You can just use this reference, and you're gonna tap all the way into that Navigator stack provided to you by the material application. So let's do that. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that, man. I keep forgetting that. I'll definitely do it. Thank you so much for the reminder. So let's, yeah, I gotta change the category so that in Twitch I could actually, more people follow me there. So yeah, thank you very much for the reminder. So let's do Navigator.off context, and I'm just gonna replace that by, I'm gonna do a global replacement here. So I'm gonna get in trouble if I mess it up. So let's try this. I'm gonna do a replace all. 7 instances, that's totally good. Let's see if I messed anything up. So I'm just gonna do a hot reload, a hot restart. So let's see what it does here. I think I already messed something up. So there you go. So I'm just gonna do this, and you see I already did it. So here it is, main nav current state, push replement it, and then I did that. So in which particular one? And oh, I messed it up also right there in the utils. So you see that some of them actually have the because of course I need to import it. So that's why I need to make sure that I need to import my package. So I did a whole replacement. Yes, is it possible for current state to be non-nullable so you don't have to always include? Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because that's what is provided to you. It's part of the, I know it's annoying. But when you do this, Randall, check this out. Current state, it is nullable, unfortunately. So it's kind of like the way, and then the current state is null. It says there's no widget in the tree. So they kind of do it like that, for a reason. So I keep just tapping into it that way. But definitely, I can look into that and see how I can probably, we can circumvent that. I know it's a little bit annoying. So let me just import wherever I need it. I need to do this. This is so annoying. See, I also do make sure that I remove unused imports. I do a lot of these things all over the place. But make sure that, whenever you do a global replacement like I did, I was not, again, I'm refactoring. I was not anticipating all these changes. I just wanted to do something really quick. But at least after I do this, I know that I'm going to be good. And the navigation strategy that I'm using is a lot more cleaner. So let me just do so I still have another one. Okay, so in this splash screen, there we go. So in the splash screen, I have that. I've imported it. Perfect. I don't see any other issues. Oh, I see. Try correcting the name of an existing getter. Let me take a look. Did I blow something up in here? I just replaced that. Utils.mainNav current state that push replacement. That's what I did. So let's start that. Let me kill the whole thing. Let me start it all over. So let's see that. So by the way, let me just remind everybody. As you're watching this stream, if you tweet with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding, you get the chance to get this cool t-shirt. One of these t-shirts is gonna be, one of you guys is gonna be the lucky winner. So make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I'm gonna raffle one of these. So stay tuned, relax, enjoy, grab your coffee, or just be as cool as Randall and Sirhan and some of those guys, just leaving me tips and suggestions on how to proceed. So let's start. Okay, so it's all good. You see, I think everything went well when I did that refactoring, which is much cleaner, like I mentioned. So you can go about, you could probably try that approach in your application. So I did that refactoring. I'm good with it. Let's proceed. So the next thing that I wanted to do after doing that is actually doing some changes. Check this out. So one of the things that I forgot to show you was that you see here these leaves right here. I don't want to show those leaves. Also, I want to know exactly when my breakpoint is. Remember, I'm going to be doing some refactoring that when the game is easy, I'm going to have 200 rows. When the game is easy, I'm going to have 100 rows of leaves. People will know that up front. And I'm also going to add control components that will tell you how far you are in the pond. So when the level is easy, I can show you right here. Look. In my helpers utils right here, see, I even have it hard coded, but I'm gonna change that later. So see, when it's easy, it's gonna be 100 rows, but when it's hard, it's 200. So I'm gonna create some configuration so that it's not hard coded like this. But I need to know that if my breakpoint is the first one or the last one, I don't want it to show those leaves. This looks a little annoying, but when it's the beginning row, I don't want to show the leaves. And also I want to know what row number is that, like what is the checkpoint number, because as if you see, is every 10th of that amount of rows. For example, if it's 200 rows, is every 20. So if it's 100 rows, if in the easy level, we're gonna have it every 10. That is the breakpoint. Every checkpoint. Every checkpoint, I call it breakpoint. I meant to call it checkpoint, so I'm gonna recreate that. So it's supposed to be not breakpoint, but checkpoint. So every checkpoint is every like 10 rows if it's the 100 rows, or 200 rows is every checkpoint is 20 rows. So let me rename that, because I didn't want to call it that. So I'm going to say rename symbol, and I'm going to say is checkpoint. That's what I wanted to call it. Perfect. Now I want to say, for example, like in this particular case, I want to check whether like it is I am actually in that particular like what is the checkpoint number. Like I am in checkpoint number 1, I am in checkpoint number 2. I need to display that to the user. So let's do this. To the leaf model, I'm like right now I'm a little bit torn on where to persist that value. For now, you can bear with me. You're gonna see me just holding it at the row level. Like every row is gonna know what number it is, and then when I know that this is the breakpoint, it's gonna be true. If that row is the current checkpoint, again, if the row is the current checkpoint, I'm gonna show the leaves and I'm gonna display to the user, hey, you are at checkpoint number 1, 2 more to go, or something like that. So let's do that. So I'm gonna create one extra property in my leaf model. Remember, the leaf model is the one that represents the leaf in the row. That's what it renders the row. So I'm just gonna create here like one more property. I'm gonna say final integer, call it checkpoint value. So I'll say checkpoint value, and then it will be 10, 20, 30, 40, or like actually I could just use the index, like checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3, like that, all the way until the end. So now I'm gonna hold on to that value here. I'm gonna say required this dot checkpoint, for example. Again, I'm gonna hold on to this here, but I find like better ways to hold that the checkpoint value. For now, let's keep it like that. I'm gonna go back to the utils, and then I'm going to incorporate that logic because I made it required. So when I'm creating my random leaf models, I'm gonna check, of course, if the first thing that I'm gonna check on the checkpoint, just not to render the leaves in the first and the last, of course, is just to check first if it's not the first and it's not the last one, right? I mean, I can leave it in the last, but I can just say for now, if I, not equals 0. As simple as that. Let's just keep it like that for now so you can see. So if I say if it's not equals to 0, meaning if it's not the first one, I don't want to see it in the first one. I say if it's not equals to 0, and then the same thing. I can just say like if the I is less than, for example, I can just say if the I is not equals to 0. I could say also, I could actually say if I is less than rows. And that actually makes me make sure that I need to know that the index is still less than the maximum number of rows. Okay, I can take care of the last row as well just by saying that. I could have done like, the number of rows is just how many rows. So at the end, I don't want to show it. I don't want to show it at the first one. Hey, Camilo, what's up, buddy? ¿Cómo estás, hermano? Thank you for joining. I hope you're tweeting Flutter Live Coding throughout the session so that you can get a cool t-shirt just like this one. So make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of the session. I'm gonna raffle one t-shirt, Flutter t-shirt just like this one. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you so much for the support. So let's continue. So I think this covers like the first row and the last row, like the first leaf. You see the flowers in there. That's not gonna show because I'm saying if it's not equals to 0, meaning not on the first one. Now I'm gonna say, okay, so if it's so, then check, for example, if this is equals to, if this is equals to 0, right? Then I'll just say false, like that, something like that. Just check that whenever you then check the, whether it is the proper row, like if it's the 10th row or it's the 20th row or the 30th row, that's how I'm doing. I'm doing like a mod calculation right there, a mod evaluation. So I'm saying if the current index is not a multiple of 10, then just make it false. But if it's the 10th, the 20th, the 30th, then you're gonna make it true. Otherwise, just make it false. But then now we want to show the breakpoint value, or the checkpoint value, what I'm calling it. Why I keep calling it breakpoint. Anyway, I can do probably the same thing, right? I'm just gonna do the same thing just so that then we can optimize it later. So I'm gonna say, if it's not the first one, right? If it's not the first one, and it's not the last one, so it's not the first, it's not the last. It could be anybody. If so, if it's the multiple of 0, right? If it's a multiple of 0, okay, so then just give me the integer value of that index, of that, of the row. Otherwise, just give me like -1 or something like that. We can try something like this. Check this out. Then I'll say, then, right? I can do that. Are you sure you don't want to? I could do this. I could say, yeah, I could say, look, check this out. So if I say, if my, I'll say, if, for example, I'm saying, if it's not the first one, if it's not the last one, right? I say, if it's not the first, if it's not the last, and I'm going to say, and if it's not the last one, because this is, remember, I'm doing this. If I do this, Randall, I'm only going to limit it to the easy level. But if it's the, for example, the hard level, which is 200, when I do that, it's actually going to give me the, let's say the 20th, then the 40th, then the 60th, when I am in the hard level. But yes, if I'm just going to keep it on the simple one, I can do that. So if I'm just going to say, for example, here, what I'm doing is actually, I'm saying this. So I'm saying when the rows are, we can definitely test it. But if you do something like this, I wanted to show it to you. So this is what I wanted to do. If it's not the first one, and it's not the last one, and I want to say and, right? And is a multiple of 10, then, right? I want to say, I can definitely, extract this logic much better, and then I'll say, else just give me -1 or something like that, right? Yes, it will always be smaller than rows since it's for the loop. Exactly. So check this out. So if I do, yes, totally, sir. Yeah. So now if I do something like this, for example, I'm just gonna keep the logic in here because again, we're actually doing all of this together. So we're trying to come up with the best logic for doing this. So I could do something like this, like I mod, right? And then I say rows divided by 10. Now, if I am in the hard level, it's gonna be 20, 30, 20, 40, 50, like that, right? So now let's do like a +1 because remember, it's gonna do like it's gonna check, for example, like the integer, it's gonna give me I need the integer value. So I could do something like toInt, right? So something like this, so I can say, just give me the integer value corresponding to the multiple of 10 of that level. So if it's 100, I'm gonna get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. If it's 200, I'm gonna get 20, 40, 60, 80, and then like that, like by 20s, right? And then check this out. So let's keep it like that. Let's just see at least if, for example, it's gonna say, is the breakpoint the first one? For example, I know for sure I'm gonna see it. I'm not gonna see it in the first one. We can definitely refactor this logic, but I'm glad that at least you guys are paying attention, which is cool. So if I reload it, there it is. See, it's not in the first one, but because I am in the easy level, if I swipe 3, 4, 5, 6, you see it right there. It's in the 10th one, right? So if I continue, right, I only see it in the 10th, in the 20th, in the 30th. I don't want it in the 100th. I want it in the 90th, like that. You see, if I continue swiping, I won't see it in the first, I won't see it in the last, but I will see it in the ones in between. If it's not easy, for example, if the rows are 200, let's say when the user switches to the hard level, if I reload it, then you will see that they won't show every 10th. They should be showing every 20th. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 3. See, I'm even getting beat in my own game. So there it is. If I continue, let me continue, boom. And then once I get to I should be able to get, there you go. So once I get to the 20th value, there they are. So that's why I wanted to keep it, this is looking a little convoluted, but at least I wanted to work the logic in my mind. Remember, I am coding this on the fly. I am just trying to come up with the logic as I'm building it. So I'm really glad that you guys are there to support me in this journey. So I'm just coding it right away. Like I'm thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? But I'm glad that at least you guys are there to paying attention to this logic. I'll definitely make this looking a little bit much cleaner. But at least I want to remember what I told you at the beginning of the session. Make it work, then refactor it. Because at least here I say, I know that I don't want the first one. I don't want the last one, right? And it has to be a multiple of 10, so it could become a checkpoint, a breakpoint. A checkpoint. Why do I keep calling breakpoint? Why do I keep calling that? Thank you. Thank you, Dyer. So it's taking me a little bit, like this, the whole setup. And you don't see it, but there are some lights in front of me. Man, this is making me sweat like a pig. But anyway, thank you, man. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the support, by the way. So yes, like I said, now the checkpoint value is, I'm just going to show -1. If it's not the first, if it's not the last, and it has to be a multiple of 10. I want, if it's in the heart level, I want them every 20, every 40, every 20, 40, 60, like that. I'll definitely clean this up. But definitely thank you for, for the suggestions and all that. I didn't want to hard code it. At least this is a little bit, better than before because I was not tracking the checkpoint value. Now you see it every 20. Which is what I want. Now let's bring this back again. And again, I'm going to change this because this is going to be driven by when the user clicks on easy or hard. So you got to, make sure to actually optimize that. So for now, I just wanted to make sure that I have the checkpoint value and I have its checkpoint, not on the first one and not on the last one, but every 10 right now because it's the easy level is every 10. And there it is. Got it. So let's continue. Next thing, okay, so I think I'm already past that. So now what I want to do is actually, I want to see now that value. I want to truly tell the user, I want to show the user, you are at this breakpoint. Let's notify. Remember that we're using like these notifications right here, like these little messages. That's exactly what you do. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You make it work and then you refactor. I mean, I'm not going to be, how am I going to think that the first option is correct? I'm in the wrong business if I know that when I code it the first time it's going to be perfectly, I actually even try to go, even if I think that my code is perfect at the beginning, I like to do another pass at it. And I always find better to keep refactoring. But there's a point in life that you say, let's stop the refactoring. I think this is good enough. It doesn't blow up the memory. It's working good enough. And then there's a point where you can stop it. Because otherwise, I continue refactoring. I'm never going to end. So this is good for now, but we'll definitely give another pass at it. So thank you, Diane, for your testimonial. And thank you anyway, guys, for... Sirhan, you were saying rows -1. Yes, you could do that, of course. But what I'm saying +1, why am I saying +1? Because I want to say checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3. I don't want to show it in the beginning, and you'll see it now. You'll see it. I want to capture that value. So I could definitely change it like that if I don't see it, but you will see it now. We created that little widget. Remember last time we created that widget that show like like these type of widgets that show like the little message. So I want to have one to show me regular messages to the user. And we created that last time and I called it like simple message, something like that. And I have like hard coded stuff in here. But I'm going to show it to you first and then we're going to refactor it. So remember, every time I swipe, I want to check whether the user is at that breakpoint. So if I check whether the user is at that breakpoint every time I swipe. So if I swipe, for example, if I do in the what is that service? I think I called it swiping gesture service, something like that. Let me bring it over. So the swiping gesture service, every time we swipe, and see, there's also something that I'm not using in here. So let's just remove. So when I'm swiping right here, look at the logic. Remember this logic. When I'm saying if the leaf is the correct one, if this is the correct leaf direction, then you do stuff. While I am, let's say, swiping, when I'm finished swiping, I want to show that notification to the user by telling them, okay, you are at this level, so let's do it. So check this out. My idea would be to do something like this. I can say something like if next leaf, remember that we created that property called is checkpoint. I keep calling it is checkpoint. If next leaf is at a checkpoint, then we're gonna here show a message. We're gonna show a message that the user is at that breakpoint. So first of all, let's just show the message. Remember, I think we're leveraging that that service called Frog. I think we're calling it Frog Message Service. Frog Messages Service, exactly. Let's just call it just like that. And then remember, this is a service that when you inject it and then you send it the type of message, you can send a message through that service. That service is the one that controls this type of messages, like the messages that you show for the user. So I'm going to leverage that that service, and I'm just going to send like a message through it. So I'm just gonna say provider.auth, make sure to make it the same type. I'm gonna say Frog Messages Service, context, listen equals false. So I don't wanna rebuild my widget when I'm invoking this service. I can just break it like that so you can see it. And then all I'm gonna say here, when it's a checkpoint, I'm gonna trigger that message. So let's do that. So I'll say Frog Message Service, I think, yeah, set message. And remember, there are a couple of types of messages. There's one called Frog Messages. We have none, simple, and splash. Splash is that splash message. If I say simple, it's because I'm sending like, let's just keep it. Actually, I have to provide this message content. I'll set it in a second, but let's see it first. Let's see that it's showing. So if I reload my application, I'm just gonna rebuild it. When I get to that breakpoint, I should be able to see a message that pops up. So let's try it. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let me keep swiping, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And then when I swipe this, I should be able to see a simple message. So if I do this, there it is. Right now it's hard coded and it says initializing game, but I'm gonna consume the value of the breakpoint value that is available in the leaf. That's what I was like expecting at the beginning. So I can say something like checkpoint number, and then I can put the number in there. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like next leaf dot checkpoint value. That's what I wanted, the checkpoint. I keep saying breakpoint. Anyway, so if I say checkpoint reached, we can do something like this, like checkpoint reached. That should be the number, like the number. I don't want like the 10. I don't want the 20. I just want like the index, like what the index of that is, like the integer value of that, calculation that I was doing. But I could try, for example, if I'm getting it wrong, I'll definitely go back to it. So now if I do it, let's get it, but I haven't consumed the message. It will be hard-coded. So I need to go to my Frog Messages service. Oh, there it is. See, I'm not doing anything. So right here, I'm just sending the message, but now I need to go to that, remember that widget, Frog message panel? So in the message panel, when the type of message is simple, then I call this guy. Now this guy, when I go inside, I should be consuming the message, of course. I should be consuming the message that I'm sending through the service. Remember, the service, the Frog Message Service, is just a service that I'm saying trigger the corresponding message, whether it's a splash message or a simple message, and pass an optional string that I'm gonna show in that little thing. So okay, I'm gonna use that service. So I need to make sure that my Frog simple message, the simple message is actually consuming that value. So I need to consume the string value. I'm not consuming it yet. I need to consume it. So let's actually go to that widget, the simple message, and I'm gonna have to like wrap my my service, or actually like inject the service and then just like pull the value out of it, like pull the message that I'm consuming. Otherwise, what I could do is I can send it over through the constructor. I can do that. Let's try it like that. I can do this. Check this out. The Frog simple message, I can just say, I can say final string message, because every time I rebuild it, it's going to be that same value. And I'll be rebuilding this widget over and over. So let's keep it like this for now. I'm going to say, required this.message. So I'm going to pass the message through the simple message. Instead of consuming the service again, I already have it here. You see, I already have it. All I need to do is just because the frog message service is here. All I need to do is just pass the message in here. So I'm gonna say message and then pass the message through there. The I think it's called, what did I call it? Message? Yeah, just message. It can't be constant because I'm passing a value. So see what I'm doing. In the swiping, when I swipe, right? So let's go back to the service. When I'm swiping, I'm saying if it's a checkpoint, go to the service, invoke the simple message, and pass an optional message content. So I should be able to see it inside of my simple message, but I'm not done yet. So let's go to the simple message right here. See, all this stuff is like hard-coded. So I need to make sure to like, I'll do like constant here. And instead of showing like a hard-coded value in here, I need to do something like this, like, you know, just message, right? And then whatever I'm seeing as a message in there, I'll probably just, you know, just take care of that, right? So I'll just do message and then just show. I also need to, well, I think I don't need to do the hiding of this message. I think it's already been taken care of. But I'll take a look one more time. So let's just pass the message and let's see how it does. So I'm just passing message in here. That's it. Let's take a look. So now I should be able to see checkpoint reach number 1 inside of that simple message. If I reload, let's take a look. So if I reload it, I do start and then I swipe 10 times, of course. I need to do that. I do this and Sirhan, I'm actually swiping a little bit slower now so that you see that swiping in the mouse is way different. So I always mess it up. So now when I swipe this, see, I'm done. But then when I do this, there you go. Checkpoint number 1 reached. That's what I wanted to see. But when you see the message, it doesn't disappear unless I do like something else, like I do this one. So this message also needs to auto hide itself pretty much. So I already took care of it. If I go to the next, breakpoint, I should be able to see checkpoint number 2 because it's been taken care of by me. Look, if I swipe now, oh, it says checkpoint number 1. You see, it needs to update the value. So I need to take care of that. So at least I wanted to see the message in there. But yeah, good catch. I need to do that. Great. So let's do that. Let's do that. So now I keep saying checkpoint number 1 because it's not rebuilding. I need to make it rebuild. There we go. So now let's actually just make it so that it self hides just like the other one. So the way to make this widget, remember, like hide itself after a certain amount of time, is actually implementing a timer. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the splash. Like the splash screen just hides itself because it's on a timer, right? So check this out. So this is just a regular stateless widget. The way that you do it is just you want to turn this into a stateful widget because you want to clean up the timer after the widget is done. You don't want to leave like timers hanging around, because in the background they can continue running and mess up your whole application. So make sure that you do this. You make sure that you make it into a stateful widget. And of course, I'm not going to do like any animations in here. The only thing that I want to keep track of is just the timer. So what I'm going to do is I create a timer. I'm going to say late timer. Of course, I need to import the Dart sync. Oh, I think I need to import it. Yeah. So let me do message timer. Let's call it message timer. And I'm going to initialize it to something like dummy. Like I'll say duration .0 and just like a simple default timer. So I need to import the Dart async, of course. And the reason why I wanted to do a timer and I wanted to make it as a stateful widget is because I want to clean up the timer, initialize it in the init state, and clean it up in the dispose. Other widgets don't give you that. So the stateless widgets doesn't give you those clean it up in the state. So you want to persist that in the state. That way you can clean it up after the widget gets disposed. So the first thing that you do is, of course, you need to, override the, void init state. You want to override the init state. And you also, of course, you want to do a cleanup on the dispose. So I just do the same thing. So I do void dispose. And of course, I'm going to say message timer that cancel. If this widget gets disposed, if it gets removed out of the widget tree, you want to dispose that. And of course, you have to say super.dispose. That's the good cleanups that you need to do. Now in the initializer, in the init state, is where I'm going to initialize my timer. And I'm going to say super.init state, right? And then all I'm gonna do is just initialize my timer. I'm just gonna say timer. It's gonna probably last like a few seconds. Let's do like a second or like a second and a half. Let's do, const duration, and then I'll do, not seconds, but you have to do milliseconds. So you have to do milliseconds, and then I'll do like 1500, for example. And remember, the timer takes like a callback. So that callback is where now, the same way that I did it in my the splash one, I think I did. Yes, the splash one. See, I should have like copied this. So I just need to invoke the frog messages service and hide myself. So I'm gonna tell my parent, hey, frog message panel, clean me up. I'm done with showing the message to the user. Now you need to remove me. So pretty much the frog simple message is just calling up it's just bubbling up the event, up the hierarchy, telling its parent to just clean up. And then that's exactly what I'm gonna do here. Of course, I need to import this thing. Let me just cut this out of here. I need to import the provider, of course, and I need to import the frog messages service. Perfect. And I need to import of course, the type of message. The way that I do it is, remember we were telling the parent, just clean yourself by just sending a non-value to it. That's it. Check this out. Now, after it's done, it's just gonna call this timer. It's gonna last there 1.5 seconds, and then it's gonna clean itself. So let's reload it. Let's get to that 10th row, show the user, and then that's it. Check this out. So I go again, do this, do that, next. I continue. I'm swiping. I go to the next one. I show the user that they've reached checkpoint number 1 and then disappear. Keep going. So you see, that's exactly what I did there. So I created that simple message panel. It shows for a second and a half, then just hides itself just by telling the parent. You see, we keep it all centralized within that frog messages panel and keep it really simple. That's it. Yeah, so I just wanted to get to that point because we want to continue building some of the logic. So I'm not going to go deeper into this because at least you already know how to call up to the parent, for example, using messages in a very decoupled way. So at least I just wanted to show like a simple message and give you like another option to notify your users of things. So we're already notifying users when you do this, but I also want to notify when they get to another, let's say to another level. Let's go to that next row, for example. If I do this, if I do that, and then I swipe, I should be able to get to the next checkpoint, right? So we need to continue incrementing that value. Right now it's just showing like a hard-coded value in there, but I need to make sure that the value, it's not, so for example, like this particular message, I just need to show like that, the counter needs to keep incrementing. But let's keep it here because I want to continue moving on to some of the other widgets, right? So that was good. We can definitely move past that, but we definitely need to continue improving on some of that. So let's continue now. For example, I know that some of you have been even suggesting bringing more interactivity to the application, bring more animations and whatnot. So what I want to do is actually spruce up the animation a little more, bring some more animations, because that's what you're here for. You're here for the fun, and then the cool things, the splashy things in Flutter. So let me recap again about animations in Flutter. There are really great packages that you can use in Flutter for animations. You can use, for example, there's a great one of a recently published application called Wondrous. And that one uses like a really great animation package. I think it's called Flutter Animation, something like that. But it's like really great, simple animations package that you can use. Right now, I'm just going to show the core animation libraries and widgets that are available using explicit animations. Explicit animations give you a lot of control of your animations. You can, you can have control over your animations, how long they take. From what point to what point you want them to animate. You have a lot of control over that, and for that you need to tap into the internal clock state of your widgets, so that you can tap into the rendering pipeline of Flutter, so that you can then kind of like tap into that and make sure that your widgets rebuild with the clock, like at 60 frames per second, and then you get like really those butter smooth animations. So let's do that. I wanted to show you, for example, like I wanted to improve a couple of things, for example, in the splash screen. If I reload it again, if you see like the splash screen, it's just like really bland. It's just showing one image. I want to make it like now like slowly coming in. For those of you who are joining, you can watch the previous 5 videos in this series, and then you can take a look at some of the other strategies that we've been implementing, and you can also catch up on what we're doing. You might just join right now. You may not be knowing what we're talking about, but we've been building this application for the past 6 weeks so far. So if you want to go back and take a look at those videos, please go ahead. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit some of those things, some of those aspects of the application that I want to make much cooler and much entertaining. So let's do that. I want to start with the splash screen. Again, I'm going to go back to the splash screen. Check this out. So I created a page called splash screen, right? I called it Skipping Frog Splash, right? And what I'm not going to do is just redirect for now. Let's keep it in the splash screen. So what I want to do here, I just want to make this widget like pop a little better, like pop a little more. Like this widget, instead of just being fixed in there and just doing nothing, let's make it so that it slowly comes in. The way that you do that, you have to, for example, if you have a stateful widget, in this particular widget, I'm going to leverage the stateful widget, the statefulness of that widget, so that I can tap into the internal clock state of this widget, and then I can tap into the rendering pipeline, so I can, rebuild my widget along with it. So the way that you do it, of course, when you create animations and you want to use, let's say, explicit animations, one of the things that you do is you have to do this. You have to say with single ticker provider state mixin. The single ticker, a ticker is again that tick, is that the ability that Flutter gives you so that you can tap into the internal clock of the Flutter framework. The same way that they're rebuilding your widgets every 60 60 frames per second, you want to tap into that capabilities. So Damien, who says slide down for the title, scale for the buttons and the frog. Will frogs jump? Check this out. What I'm gonna do. You're gonna see like all the things that I'm gonna be doing. But yes, I'm taking suggestions on what things you guys want me to show you. For now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make that logo. I'm just gonna make the logo like slowly come in. So let's try something simple like that. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, of course, is, for example, I'm using like I want to use the single ticker provider state mixin. The single ticker provider state mixin. And by the way, let me just do, let me actually make it wrap so that you guys can see the code. There we go. So now you will see the code wrap a little bit, right? So the way that I'm going to do it here is I am going to use this single ticker provider mixin. This mixin gives me that, the ability to actually tap into the internal clock of Flutter, so I can rebuild my widgets. So one of the things that you use for doing animations and controlling the animations is exactly that, a controller. So I'm going to actually create a late animation controller, and I'm going to call it logo controller, because that's like the logo of this application, for example. A page transition, you could do that too. You could animate all of that. I would, yes, Damien, that's a good idea. I could try animating the transition. That's a pretty good idea. I've done it using like page router. Like page router, there's like a way that you can animate the transitions in the pages. It's not just like the boring sliding one. That's a really good suggestion. I've done it in when I do like internal nested navigations. That's a very good idea. So let me just show you. So in the init state, of course, I need to initialize my controller. So you need to use your controller. So let's do logo controller, and then I'm gonna say animation controller, the same way that you instantiate an animation controller, just the same way. So I say animation controller. Of course, you need to feed the vsync. The vsync is like, you need to tell it who's the provider, who's providing the ticker. The ticker that is providing is this same class, because by you adding the mixin, this class becomes the provider of the ticker, right? So you have to say vsync this, right? And then I'm gonna set a duration. Let's make it so that it takes like 3 seconds to like show the logo, something like that. So let's do, for example, like const duration, and I'll do seconds, 3 seconds, something like that. Immediately, as soon as it instantiates the controller, I want it to start animating. The way that you do it is you tap into the same instantiated object and you start calling methods on it. So I'm gonna say forward, meaning go in a linear fashion, like perform the animation in a linear fashion. Just go forward. Don't go back. Don't reverse. No, just complete it from beginning to end, and then you're done. So let's do that. So I'm just saying forward, and then that's it. Then, of course, remember, in the dispose, you want to dispose of your, I never forget, like, disposing of my controllers, because they definitely take a lot of resources. So again, the same thing that you want to do is actually just same thing that I'm doing. I'm just going to wrap this guy. I'm just going to wrap this image, simple as that. I'm just going to wrap my widget inside of a couple of transition widgets. It's not a page transition. I'm going to do, in this particular case, not a page transition. I'm actually going to be doing a scale transition and a fade transition at the same time. So with one single controller, I can do two animations, and then I can merge them. So the way that you do that, you see, you create the animation controller, which controls the animation, tells it who's the provider and how long it's going to take. And then all I'm going to do here is just, I'm going to wrap my widget inside a widget, and then I'm just going to say scale transition, right? Scale transition takes one parameter, which is the child, of course, on which to perform the animation, and for example, like the property that is going to change in this case is the scale. The scale is just like you have to feed it in like the animation that this controller generates. The way that you do is you say tween. You have to create a tween. A tween gives you like the let's say the range of values in which your animation is going to execute. Where your animation begins, where it ends. So this tween has to be double, and then you say it's gonna begin at 1. Let's say it's gonna begin at normal scale. Or actually, let's actually do it the opposite. So let's make it so that it starts, for example, like at 80% of the size, and then it ends at full size, at 1. The value has to be between 0 and 1. So it's like an interpolated value between 0. A normalized value between 0 and 1 is like from 0 to 100, right? So then I say start at 80% and then end at 100%. And then all I do after this is just say animate. I pass a curved animation. Of course, I know who the parent is, which is the controller right there. Logo controller. And the curve, I kind of like to use like curves like this. I'm a fan of I'm a fan of the ease in and out. That's the one that I like to do. It's not ends, it's end. And there you go. Let's try this one. Let's see how it goes. So when I rebuild it, you see it's slowly scaling and then stops at 3 seconds. But I don't want only that. I want it to also fade. I want to fade from 0 to 1. How do you do that? You already have the scale transition. This animation starts at 80%, ends at 100%, and you just have to wrap the child that you want to perform that transition. So all I do is I wrap this same transition into another widget, and then I just call it fade transition. Fade transition. And the cool thing about like these type of transitions that take a tween, meaning like an animation between two values, is that they're pretty much the same. Look, I can copy paste this and I can just drop it in here. But instead of doing a scale, all I'm gonna do is opacity. But it takes pretty much the same thing. It takes a tween type double. It has a beginning and end, and then you just pass a curve animation to it. So instead of, I'm going to say start at 0 and then end at 1. Mean start invisible and then end it at full visibility. So I wrap the scale transition and the fade transition, and you do it in that cascading fashion, actually that nested fashion, and then one application performs the other. But they perform at the same time in parallel. And look, I'm using the same controller. That's what I love about it. I can use the same controller for multiple animations. So now if I reload it, you will see slowly coming in and then stops. I can make it much better, but at least again, Damien, I just wanted to do something simple for some of you guys that may have missed some previous episodes where I was doing something like that. So it's really simple. Sirhan also, he's doing like a really cool game, and he's been like implementing really cool stuff. So Sirhan, keep at it, brother. Continue building your game. It's really cool. So I'm glad that some of you are learning from some of these experiences. So good. So you see, very simple. I just made it like really pop. So now let's go back to what we had before. Let's just do this and continue with our application. So now let's say I'm just gonna launch, come in, and then this one. See, this one just slides right in. I also want to add like some animations to it. Yeah, it's very simple, very straightforward, and then that's it. Now I want to do the same thing with this one. You see the logo is just like boring. It's just like boom, 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 nothing. Let's make it cool. Let's make the frog, the top logo slide down, the little frog pop in, and the little buttons down there to come in also, like sliding from the bottom. But I don't want to do a controller for each one of those items. I want to reuse the same controller. That is one efficiency refactoring that you can do in your applications by definitely taking advantage and tapping into the functionality of your let's say of Flutter, like the richness of Flutter. And instead of you having to create like one controller per item that you want to animate, you can use one single controller to animate everybody. And you can even change the times at which they occur by using just one single controller. That is a very great optimization that you can do in your widgets. Let me show you how to do that real quick. It's really, really, really easy. So let's go back to this page is the landing one, right? So let's be here. You see this page has the logo. It has the little frog in the middle. And then it has this row of buttons. It has those 3 buttons. The help button, this is the help, this is the start, and this is the options run, right? It's very bland. It doesn't have any animations. Let's make it pop. Let's do one single controller that animates all of those things. Let me show you how to do that. It's not hard at all. All you need to do is just make sure that you synchronize their animations. Yeah, staggered. Damien, you're really into this. So staggered animations, that's a very good point. Thank you, Damien. You're on point, buddy. You might win a t-shirt. Just make sure that you tweet Flutter Live Coding. At the end of the session, I'm going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you, Damien. That's a great suggestion. So yes, you do staggered animations. The way that you do it is you time them accordingly so that using even one single controller, you can just make them look like they're at different time intervals. That is the key, intervals. So you can just fluctuate and make them look like they're like different animations, but it's pretty much just one. You just stagger them. That's a very good point, Damien. Thank you. Let's do it. So let me show you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, this is a stateless widget. We need to convert it to a stateful widget because we want to make this widget receive a ticker. We want it to tap into the internal clock state of this widget so that we can then rebuild it many times and make it, simulate that animation, right? So first thing, make it stateful. That's the first thing. That's the first rule of thumb. When you want to do animations, you have to make them stateful, or you have to like wrap it inside a consumer widget or something like that. You got to do, or you can wrap it into like a stateful widget or something like that, right? You've been working with Flutter. You definitely seem to be on point, buddy. I want to see some of the stuff that you've been building as well. So hey, let's chat someday, buddy. So thank you so much for being here as well. So let's continue. So let me just. Of course, I have the state. The first thing that you want to do is, of course, you want to add a controller to your, the same thing that I was doing. I could even copy paste it if you want to, but I'm not going to do copy paste. I'm hardcore like you guys. Let's build it. For some of you who are just watching, you want to see me do it, let's do it. I'm not a copy paste type of guy unless I'm really in crunch time, right? If I'm at crunch time, hey, copy pasting and going to Stack Overflow, that's my best friend. But we're here to learn, to get really better at Flutter. So let's type it out. Let's do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do, of course, is a controller, just like always. So I'm just going to call it late animation controller. Same thing, animation. I'll say animation controller, and I'm gonna call it buttons controller because it's pretty much gonna be like the buttons, controller, something like that. And I'm gonna animate the buttons and stuff like that. Let's do it like that. Same thing. I override. I have to override the init state because I'm going to initialize my things in there. And don't ever forget to override your dispose. These suckers really take a lot of resource. They do a lot of memory consumption and resource utilization. When you leave these unattended and you don't dispose of them, they are your enemy. You will definitely see the performance degradation in your widget applications when you forget. Awesome. So let's initialize the widget. Of course, I can right here. I can just be like buttons.controller.dispose. I'll dispose of it. and I'll just do super.dispose because I really want to dispose of those. And then of course I'm gonna say super.init state here, super.init state, and I'm going to initialize my buttons controller, and I'm gonna do the same thing, animation controller. I do the same drill, vsync this duration. How long do we want to make it? So let's keep it, let's say 1 second. We want to like really fast and really popping. And of course, like always, we just immediately as soon as you come in, of course, I need to do the with single ticker provider state mixin. Why didn't it persist? I wanted to do wrap. Oh, I think it does wrap like only at a per page level. I'll probably change it later and do it globally. So for now, let's just do this. Duration will be a const duration of 1 second. I'll do 1. I can do milliseconds. And if I want to change it later, I'll just do, I'll just change it or something. But if I want it like faster or whatever. So let's do just forward like before. I instantiate the controller, pass it the instance of the ticker provider, and set the duration to like 1 second right now. Just start it right away as soon as you come in. That's what I want to do. Same thing that I did before. Follow the same drill. What are things that I want to do? I want to wrap, for example, the again, I want to wrap the not the background. I'm not touching the background. I want to do, for example, like the logo. I want it to slide from the top, right? I wanted to, for example, let's say the logo. I wanted to, what do I want to do? I want it to fade and I want it to slide from the top. Let's do that. So I want to grab this guy, fade and slide. That's what I want to do. So I'll grab the first logo, wrap it inside your widget, and then I'm gonna do slide transition. Slide transition is a little bit different than fade transition and all the other transitions, because this actually takes a tween. Instead of a tween of type double, it takes a tween of an offset, because an offset gives you that the Cartesian coordinates, x and y values, right? So you want to do x and y. Where do you want it to move from? So I want to start at one location, at one coordinate, and then move it to another coordinate. So instead of being a double, like one single position, it has to be an offset. So the way that you do it, you have to say slide transition has a position, and then you say tween of offset. And of course you say begin, and it has to be an offset. And then where do we want our, let's say, our logo to start? I want it to start, for example, like a little bit above. So if I say offset, and then I say, let's keep the x value the same. Let's keep the x value the same. So I'm just gonna say, see, an offset is just the x and the y coordinates. So I'm gonna say the x is the same, but the y, I'm gonna say start it like a quarter of its height. So I'm gonna say like 25, right? A quarter of its height, and then it ends right where it is. So I'm just gonna say offset of 0. You could do this and it's the same. If you do this is the same as saying offset that 0. Very the same. And then all I'm gonna do is just say animate, pass a curved animation just like before. Of course, the parent is the controller, buttons controller, I think I called it, and just my curve, my usual curve. I like the, sorry guys, I like the ease in and out. I'm just a fan of that one. I kind of like smooths in, and then it goes like, it does a little bit of a dance. It's pretty cool. So there it is. Let's see. I can make this a constant. Check this out. So now let's rebuild. We get our splash screen. It just comes right in and then slides down. But you see it slides down, but I want it to fade also. So the same thing with the fading. I'm just going to wrap my slide transition in a fade transition. So I'm just going to say fade transition. And just like before is the opacity value that I'm changing. So I'm going to say tween of a double begins at full, so it's going to be full opaque, and then this is full visible, right? So it's going to be start at 0 and at 1, and let's just copy this one. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to copy paste this one because it's the same one. Remember, we're leveraging the same controller. I'm using the same controller for all the animations. Keep that in mind. So now I'm going to just rebuild this guy, and then you will see now this fading in, coming in, and then there you go. That's what I wanted. See, it fades in. Well, of course, this is a hard reload, so I have to do this so that you see it. And there it is. Now it slides in with a fade. That's what I want. Perfect. let's keep cranking. And let me just do one more reminder. If you tweet Flutter Live Coding throughout the duration of this session, I'm going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt at the end of the session. So tweet those fingers away. Make sure to tweet Flutter Live Coding at the end of the session. I'm going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt so that you can brag with your friends, about having a Flutter t-shirt. I mean, this is as a token of my appreciation for you joining. That's it. I'm just joking. But yes, I'm going to be raffling the t-shirt. Make sure to tweet with the tag Flutter Live Coding, and you're going to get the chance to be a lucky winner of a Flutter t-shirt at the end. So thank you so much. Hey, Jose, what's up, buddy? How you doing? I hope you just, at home chilling, just watching me do this. You can make fun of me, coding and whatnot. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, buddy. Thank you so much. Let's continue. So I'm going to be now just doing the same thing with that frog guy. So I'm going to do a fade transition and a scale transition on the same guy. So I'm going to copy paste only the animation so that you can see how I am able to leverage the same controller for all animations. So I'm going to wrap the only thing I'm not going to cheat is this one. So I'm going to say first is going to be, let's do a scale transition on this one also. So I'm going to do scale transition. And I can use the same thing like this, like the same tween. The same tween is this. It applies full scale transition when I say scale, and then I apply a transition to it. But the transition is not going to begin at 0 and then at 1. The scale transition is going to be, let's say, a little bit. It's going to be a little bigger already. So let's do like 0.9, like at 90%, and then it's going to end at full visibility. Now, I'm not only applying a scale transition to the frog, I'm also applying a scale transition to the top logo and a fade transition. I'm also doing a fade transition to this guy. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say fade transition. And I'm going to say opacity and just paste it. I'm not cheating, guys. I'm reusing and being efficient at the same time. So check this out. The transition will be from 0 to 1, and the scale transition will be from 90% to 100% full size on the frog in the middle. So let's run it again. Have you guys seen me create another controller or another animation controller? No, I'm only using one. There you go. And when I do it an animated widget, pass the controller, and child and done, if they're the same animations. I can do the same thing. I can definitely do that as well. I can do that. I just wanted for you guys to see, for example, like where these animations come from. You could do an animated controller at the top, use the same guy, and then just use the values for all of those. But I just wanted, actually, you're going to spoil the surprise. After this, what I was going to do is I was going to create a reusable widget to actually just perform that, because here I just wanted to show you, always I will show you an alternative to whatever exists right there. So for example, in this particular case, you could just copy paste this one. And what I wanted to do is actually create one single widget that performs all of these animations, kind of like a library pretty much. But again, yes, of course you can do an animated widget, and then you can leverage the values of the controllers and just feeding it to those widgets. But here I'm still using the same controller. I like the transitions and all of that. I want to reuse those. So I'm just using that just so that you can see where those animations come from. But of course, you're completely right. You can definitely do that as well. So check this out. I'm going to rebuild it. And then you will see how now, this comes in. You see that animation. It's not the same animation pretty much, because I could have just done one single widget and be done. But I wanted to do, for example, like this is a fade transition. That's correct. But this one, let's say, slides down. This one zooms in. Now the bottom one is the one that I wanted to show you, the staggered piece of that. But yes, you could do no spoilers. That's totally fine. I mean, I'll do it for maybe another session. That way they don't get spoiled. But thank you, Damien, for that suggestion. Of course, always welcome new suggestions. But what I'm trying to do is always teach you an alternative to whatever is in the mainstream. That way you have more in your tool belt. For example, I would have done like, why don't you do the Flutter? Why don't you use the Flutter animations package? I'm trying to minimize the number of packages that I'm using in this application. That way your application is much lighter. Oh, why don't we use an animated widget? Of course I can use an animated widget. I can use an animated builder. I can use already some of the, I can even use implicit animations for this. But I love to give you alternatives to what's out there so that then you have more options to more that is, there's always more than one way to do things. But I love the community, how you always come up to like, hey, let's do it like this. Yes. How about if we do it like this? So we always, debate on alternatives. This is exactly why we're here, to support each other. So thank you, Damien. Keep bringing those suggestions, buddy. Keep doing that. So now I'm gonna wrap this up by adding, doing that, the animation of the buttons so that they come in at multiple times. So I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna tweak my controller, actually the animation that I'm gonna perform, and then I'm gonna do it in some sort of like an interval, like that, like kind of staggered. So let's try that. I'm gonna do a very small refactoring here. So you see this, for example, like the way that I'm doing my buttons. Like the way that I'm doing the buttons in here, which are just like a row of children, right? I have 1 button, 2 button, 3 button, like the buttons that are at the bottom, right? So check this out. I'm gonna do this. I just thought of it right now, but let's try it. I'm just gonna do this. I was gonna do it right in place. You could do it right in place, but check this out. I'm gonna grab this array of buttons, right? I'm just gonna cut it. Look, check this out. I'm gonna do it like right on the fly because Damien already spoiled the surprise. I'm just gonna do something crazy so he doesn't guess what I'm gonna do. Check this out. I'm gonna cut these guys. I'm gonna create right here in my build method. I'm gonna create a list of skipping frog buttons. I'm gonna call it buttons, right? And I'm gonna have that array up there. Check this out. So it's just an array of buttons. You see, I've just moved it up. And it's just like the same buttons right here. Check this out. Look. I just have this list of buttons, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply the same animation to those 3 buttons in one single swoop. In one single swoop, I'm going to apply those animations, but also at the same time, they're going to have different timings. How am I going to do it? Again, like I say, I'm going to give you an alternative to how things are done out there. You're going to see it right now. Yeah, Damien. I know you're just having fun, buddy. So thank you. Hey, thank you for joining. Seriously. I love this kind of interactions with the community. So thank you. So check this out. So I have the array of the buttons. They're up there. But what I'm going to do here is check this out. I'm going to say this. I'm going to grab those buttons. But I'm going to add the same animation. I'm going to do the same thing that Damien was going to he said, but I'm going to do it in a different way now. Check this out. I'm going to say list.generate. Check this out. Buttons.length. So I'm going to generate something based on the length of the buttons, meaning 3. So I'm going to generate something on the fly based on how many buttons I have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return out of this row as it like on the fly. I'm going to return the buttons. So in this case, I'm going to do this. Check this out. I'm going to say buttons. For example, buttons. Dot index, buttons index. Like just by doing this, I move the buttons up there, but instead of me like copying and pasting that thing, that's why I wanted to give you this another trick. I'm gonna actually do it in one swoop right there. Check it out. How I would have done it like this. I came up with this. I'm glad that I'm doing it like this because this is a totally different way. So check this out. Now I'm gonna wrap this inside of a slide transition. I could do this, look. Slide transition. Right? And then I'm going to copy like I have this, there you go. I have this thing, the slide transition, which I need. I need this thing. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to move it right down here. And what I'm going to say is slide these buttons, each one of the buttons in that loop. I'm going to generate this little structure for as many buttons as I have. So you see, I'm going to just do it once instead of copy pasting multiple times because that's what I wanted to prove to you. So check this out. Now I want to say start below. So I'm going to do it instead. I'm going to say start at 100% of your height from the bottom of the screen and then slide up to the original position. But now instead of me saying use the same curve, like just curve at using the ease in and out kind of curve, all of them will just slide at the same time. check this out. Let me do the fading because I wanted to like conclude this by just saying fade transition, and then I'm gonna say opacity, same one. Remember, because I'm refactoring because I just wanted to show you like this trick. So after I do this, sorry, let me do this, and I'm doing a, sorry. Just wanted to tab over here. There we go. So now check this out. I'm gonna rebuild. You're gonna see them just, all of them just slide at the same time. But I only did it once. Using the list.generate, I just looped through them, and then now when I rebuild it, you will see this coming in, and you will see the 3 buttons just lighting up. See? Instead, but I don't want that, because I could have just wrapped the whole row and animate them at the same time. No, I want each button to have its own kind of transition. How do you do that? Because I could have cheated. I could have just animated the whole row if all I want is just all the buttons to swipe up, right? So yeah, I could use a map as well. You could do a map and then just do that, the same thing. List.generate is another one. It's pretty much like a map. So yes, Randall, list.generate is like a like a type of map implementation. So check this out. So now when I do this, all I'm gonna do is, instead of using this curve for each one of my, let's say, the transitions, instead what I'm gonna do is actually do something called interval. So I'm gonna do this. Look, I'm not gonna use the curve, like this curve. I'm gonna use an interval. So when you say curve, instead of just using the regular curve, which performs in a linear fashion, you can just introduce what's called an interval. So you say interval, and then this interval is gonna be based on some value, right? And for example, and then you can feed the curve into it. In this case, I'm still using my beloved, curves ease in and out. So let me show you. So if I do ease in, out, I can do something like this, right? Yeah, I think I have an extra one in here. And then I said, for example, like interval, you pass the value and then you pass the curve, right? What am I missing here? I'm still not done. Hold on, sorry. So if I do curve interval, I pass the value and then I pass the curve, and then there's my child, right? So then what I need to pass to the interval is actually doing that staggered way that I wanted to do it. So this is the interval, this is the curve. Oh, sorry, I think I was missing one, sorry. And in this particular case, it's asking me, no, you want to do it, what do you want to do here? What is it saying? Oh, 2 positional arguments. I thought it was, yeah, interval is actually like, oh, okay. So I could do, for example, interval, and then I could just pass the curve like that. But then what I really want to do, is this. So I pass the curve. The initial value that I'm passing to the interval is not just the same value. It's actually, because remember, this is a transition. So I have to start at one point and then this one. Yeah, that's what I forgot. Sorry. And then I say curve, and then I say curves ease in and out. Yeah, now it's coming to my mind. Yes, now I have to do this. Yes, I do. Why is the child? Oh, because of this. Sorry. So I'm blowing up this whole thing. Why is my child blowing up? So I have my this. I have the animate. Why is my child? Oh, it's saying the name parameter child isn't defined. Oh, it should be the child of the transition. What the heck? This is the interval. This is the curved animation. That's the animate. There we go. See what happens when you don't do your proper parentheses? Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Cirilo? What's up, buddy? How you doing? Now, I was just struggling with one parentheses. How you doing? Great. So I'm just struggling with that parenthesis. So anyway, the interval that's what I want to do. So check this out. I'm just gonna copy that interval in here because that's exactly what I want to do. So instead of doing that, I am actually adding the interval. But here, if I do this, still nothing happens. Roman, you promised me that these icons, that these widgets are just gonna show accordingly, but they're not showing accordingly. The way that I want to do now is based on the index as they come in, like the type of the index, I am going to influence how they come in. So check this out. I am going to say, how many values do I have? Depending on how many values do I have, let's say I have 3. So I can divide the number of values that I have by the value at which I want them to come in. For example, the first one is index 0, of course. Then the next index is 1. Then the next one is 2, because it's as many items as you have. Let's do something real quick so that you can see what I'm trying to do. Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah, great. Awesome. So check this out. So if I do something like this, I do it like this. So I do the first value has to be, for example, based on the first index. So I can do something like this, plus index times, for example, I can say buttons that length, right? Like a button that length, but I say, for not buttons that length, I'm sorry. I wanted to say how many, for example, like how many items are there. I can say, for example, if it's just 3, for example, I know that it's 3. I'm gonna say, for example, like 0.33, for example. Let's humor me for a second, just so that you can see the value that I'm trying to show. So check this out. So if I say the first value is based on a third of the, of the position of that. So then the next one is just gonna say just finish at 1, right? So I'm gonna say based on the index. If it's the first one, it's gonna be at 0. The second one is gonna be at 0.33, and then the last one is gonna be at 0.66, for example. So if I do something like this, check this out. If I do something like this, and now I'm saying I'm basing it off of, for example, like that I have 3 items. In this particular case, I really want to say for as many items as you have, divided for the number of items that you have in this list. If I have, for example, like 3 items, I want to say, okay, how many items do you have? You have 3 items. So I definitely want to do something, for example, like, how many items do I have? I have 3. So I want to say, for example, buttons that length times something, so that I can say, that is the amount of items that I have in my collection. So if I run this, just so that you can see it at least, let me show it to you. Thank you, Dyer. Thank you so much. But there you go. You see, it just came up. It's because I knew already that we have 3. But of course, you want to make sure that you don't have like a hard-coded value like that. You want to definitely calculate it based on the amount of items that you have in your list. If you have a bunch of items, they wouldn't have come out like that. You have to know how many items you have, and then it cannot be greater than 1. The value has to be between 0 and 1 all the time. It has to be between 0 and 1. In this particular case, you would have had something like, you have to say buttons out length, divided by 100, and then you get that, for example, like that, how many items you have. So it would be 0.33 blah blah blah, or you can do like times 0. You could do your calculation so that you can come up with a decimal value between 0 and 1, so that then you can just align them properly. All this is doing is just staggering the animation between depending on the index at which the item falls. And then if I just reload it again, check that out, now you will see all those items just sliding right back up. So you see, very simple, very cool. I can just make just make them slide at different times, and then at the end they just show accordingly. So something like that, you want to do something like that. Very cool. So I hope you guys take a cue on that. We can definitely refactor this much further, but I don't want to deviate from the main goal of this session, which is actually implementing the top header of the game, so where we actually show like the time, the score, and all of that. So let's keep moving forward. So thank you guys and thank you, Dyer, again for joining the session. Let's continue on this. So now that I have some animations already in place, you can definitely implement more animations if you want to, but at least I just wanted to get that out of the way so that you guys can see, how to do something simple like in that particular case. So now let's work on something, for example, for the top panel. You see that the top panel is still not changing. You see that the time is like hard-coded. The lives are not deducting if I lose. See, if I lose, they don't get deducted. Damien, you're totally right. Like, simple animations just pop, just make a difference. And you saw how cool it was. I just used one single controller for all of the animations in one single page. That way you leverage the power of Flutter and you don't have to exhaust all your resources in your page. So great point, buddy. Thank you so much. So you see, like, I want to definitely make sure that the time is running. I want to make sure that the lives get deducted if I lose. So let's try that. So let me... the first thing that I want to do is actually create one service. You see this panel up here? This panel is called, I created it in previous episodes. It's called right here, game header panel. Yeah, thank you. The game header panel is this panel up here that has the lives, it has the bugs, it has the time, it has the little like how much score you have, how many points have you been collecting as you're making progress. So what I want to do is I want to make that more dynamic. I want that to pop. I want to actually show the values and make them change accordingly. So for that, I want to make this panel right here encapsulated. So I want to create its own service so that I manage the score, the time, the lives, and all of that. Let's do that. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a service. Just like before. I'm going to create a service. I'm just going to come over here, create a new file. Let's call it score panel service. Let's keep it simple. I'll call it score panel service. I usually create it just like this, score panel service. And because this service is actually gonna take care of rebuilding just that single widget up there, the score panel up there, I'm just gonna say, extends change notifier, right? There's a couple of things that I want to keep track on my score panel, right? Some of the logic that I haven't added yet, because I'm actually doing it right now, is going to be, for example, if you see the panel right there, I want to keep track of, for example, the lives. Let's say I'm going to do lives. I'm going to start with 3 lives all the time. Bugs, for example, like bugs, you only collect bugs and then you want to increment the number of bugs. So let's keep track of the bugs. Of course, I need the score. And the score is an integer, it's not like a double or anything. I want to do, for example, like I want to keep like a timestamp. So the time, I may need it. Do I need it? Like a timestamp. For now, let's keep it like this. Let's do a timestamp like this, like as a datetime. So I can do like a datetime stamp. For now, I want to do a timer because I definitely want to keep a timer. So I'm gonna call it game timer, and I'm gonna say timer, duration. I'll say duration.0, and I'll just do because I want to initialize it just with something bogus for now. I import the time, and I want to display the initial time that looks like this. Time as string. Because, of course, you want to format it. So I want to format it in the service as opposed to like right in the UI. I would just want to feed it already formatted. So the format will look like this, something like that, right? And then, of course, I'm going to have like a time, like a date time to manage the time. I could use other constructs to actually, I can use a tick. I think that I could use a tick for this, but for now I want to keep it as a daytime, and I'm just gonna call it like time, and then I'm gonna say datetime dot parse. And for example, initially I could even just do time, and then that's it. And then use, for example, like a formatter such as the package Intel package from Flutter, so that I can format it. But for example, I could do something like this, like I can parse a time. Like this, for example, I do 2020, 01, 00, like this. So you see, I'm gonna feed it like this into the application, so that then I can parse it, and then I can show it as a string that always looks like that. So I want to parse it like that. So you could even do it like this. You can use the Intel package in Flutter, which, by the way, actually, why don't I do it right now? So let me open another terminal, and I'm gonna say Flutter pub add Intel. I call it that. What do you guys call it? I call it Intel. Like it does like internationalization. It does like datetime formatting, date parsing, and all of that. It does like a lot of cool things, like the Intel package. I call it Intel. I don't know why. Got it. So there you go. So these are the things that I want to keep track of. Other things that I want to do in this, for example, that service, I definitely want to be able to start I want to start the time. I want to stop the time. I want to pause the time. I want to keep it going. I want to reset the score. There's a lot of things. So let me stub out some of those functions that I'm going to need in this service. So I'm going to stub them out. So I'm going to say, like, I need something to start the time. For example, I need something to stop the time. I need something to pause the time. I need that functionality. I need something, for example, to do other logics, like, for example, reset the score. I could do reset score panel. I can call it like that. So I can reset like the values later. I want to do something to increment lives should I do that? Like I say, increment lives, void decrement lives. You see, all the business logic is actually contained in here. I don't want my widgets to have any business logic. I want my widgets just to focus on the UI rebuilding logic. All the business logic happens in the service. I don't want to be doing like lives plus on my widget. No, don't do that. You all keep all that logic in your within encapsulated with your services, and just call methods and subscribe to changes from your widgets. Your widgets are good for rebuilding, not for handling business logic or doing those kind of things. Thank you. Yes, Damien, I'm going to use a stopwatch. Thank you. That's exactly, that's what I was thinking. I said tick. I'm thinking of tick as a tick from C#, but I made a stopwatch. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So perfect. So there you go. You see, you stub out your methods. You stub out what you want to do. Don't do business logic in your widgets. You don't want to do that. So check this out. So I'm gonna do, for example, like I'm just gonna do like a really simple, for example, I definitely want like some sort of like a stopwatch, but I can fake it with a timer. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Like a very, I'll call it, again, remember, an alternative to what you guys know in the field. You could definitely do it really simple. So check this out. I want to be able to, for example, when in this case, let's keep it simple. I want to, for example, the first thing that I want to do is, for example, when I do start time, I want to rebuild this widget every time 1 second happens. I want to rebuild this widget so that widget up there collects the values and then just displays something to me. Yeah. Randall just hit it in the nail right there. Guys, take that, what Randall just said, and frame it on a picture. You don't know how important clean code is until you've done something that should have taken 20 files instead of 4. That's so right. So take that, frame it, put it into a plaque or something, and just, put it there next to you. Always look at that. Clean code, making sure that you definitely, do proper separation of concerns goes a long way. So let's continue. So for example, in the start time, I definitely want to do something like this. For example, the timer, I want to start it and then I want to use the timer periodic. The timer periodic allows me to just do like this. So if I do, for example, like timer, you see there's already that periodic. So what I want to do is I want to reset this time and I want to be able to cancel it at any time and stuff like that. So I want to do something really simple that I've done before. I could do something like this, for example. Check this out. I can say game timer, and I'm going to say timer.periodic. The periodic, what it does, it creates a kind of like a stopwatch, but it's mostly like just a ticker. It's just a callback that it repeats every certain amount of time that I give it with nonstop until you cancel it, right? So you could do something like this. I'm going to say, make it that it always lasts 1 second. Always make it a second. So I'm going to say, timer periodic and always make it 1 second. So I'm going to say duration seconds 1, right? That's it. And then all I want to do is just every time it just executes, it's going to notify the listener. So it needs to notify the listeners. Here, I'm going to do the logic to actually update the time, like the label up there, right? And just then notify listeners. That's exactly what needs to happen. Change the time, notify the listener. So here, what I need to do is something like this. For example, I can say reset the time every time. I can do something like this. I can do time, and then I do, for example, add a second to the time every time. Every time it's ticking, you can add a second to that time, right? So I'm sorry, and that timer is the timer that comes in. I can cancel it later. I meant this time, so I can say time equals time that add, and this is how you increment, for example, like your seconds. You could do something like that. You add a second to the time, right? I could do something like this, const duration, and then I can say, check this out. You could actually literally do something like this. You could say add seconds, and you say 1. This is just gonna add 1 second every time to your time. And then after that, what I want to do after I do this, I want to grab that time that has incremented and format it accordingly. I want my hours to always be, to always increment. For example, like to this time, I'm always adding seconds, but then I'm going to format the time that is there in hours, minutes, seconds, right? Great. Yes, you could do. Yes, you could do. You could definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's I totally agree on that, Randall. So you could do something like this. Check this out. So I do timer. I'll do like what is it? I'm gonna use this property here called time as string, and I could do something like this. Date format dot, and then for example, I remember that I imported the Intel package, so I need to say. Import that into that dart, and then there's a bunch of ways that you can format like your time, like that is like a really plethora of methods that you can use. I use this one, hours, minutes, seconds, and then all I want to say is just format it like this, is as hours, minutes, and seconds. Do not take the days, don't take the, just show me that the hours and minutes and the seconds. So I'm just gonna say dot format, and then I just feed the time into it. That's all it's gonna do. Check this out now. We're gonna start with this timer, and then let's see how it goes. After that, all I need to say is just notify listeners. So I'm gonna say notify listeners, meaning every time 1 second elapses, I wanna show it up there. I wanna show the value like that, formatted. Let's take a look. Of course, I need to have a way to start the time. I'm gonna show you how to do that. But the first thing that I'm gonna do is refactor my game header panel, which has a bunch of things that are hard-coded. I don't like that. Let's remove all that hard-coded stuff. And of course, I think some of you may have already seen me. Whenever you want to consume your service and you want to encapsulate just that logic within that widget, just so that it rebuilds every time your service notifies or broadcasts a change, you use a consumer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap like this whole thing right here, this whole row, which is the row right up there. I'm gonna wrap it inside a consumer. So I'm gonna say here, for example, so I didn't mean, okay, I said builder, but I wanna do consumer. And then I'm gonna say, what did I call it? Score panel service, right? So I created just in front of you guys. I created the score panel service, and all I need here is the score panel the score panel service and an optional child. Now, all the stuff that is hard-coded, I'm gonna fix it. So for example, here, I don't want like a hard-coded 3. I want to actually see the values of my lives. So I wanna say here, I can say, what are the lives? Like an integer. So I wanna do this. Score panel service dot lives. So I wanna show the lives in there. How many lives do I have? I wanna show it there. There you go, lives. The next thing that is hard-coded is actually, no, wait, I did it at the wrong level. I need to do it much higher. Sorry about that, guys. Let me undo all of this. I need it at a much higher level. I was just doing it at 1. It's here that I need to do it. So let me wrap it inside. Sorry, let me do it again. I was wrapping it at the wrong level because I needed to consume the service at another row, but I need to do wrap with, I need to say wrap with builder because this is my hack to do the consumer, and then I do score panel service. I'll do the same thing, import the provider, use the score panel service, and just do a child, right? So now it's at a much higher level. I can control all the other widgets under there. Yes, definitely. Yes, you can watch that. Damien, watch those videos from the Flutter Vikings. They definitely do a lot of really cool things in there. Totally recommend it. So check this out. So I do score panel service, lives. See, I'm only consuming values. I'm not performing any business logic of any kind. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Here, for example, I need to, I make this const so that it stops barking. You see, I was saying the bugs. I want to consume the value right here, and I say score panel service.bugs. This is going to be like a hard-coded, this is going to be like a, like a constant styles, which I also recommend keeping your styles separate. I can definitely, in another video, I can definitely refactor this. And last but not least, the time. This is what you guys are here to see. So I'm gonna do the score panel service, and then I'll do time as a string. This is how I've done it before. Check this out. Now every time this widget rebuilds, it's gonna constantly show me the updated time up there. Of course, I need to the score up here, so I just need to say score panel service dot score. There you go. So then I do that, and then I can just make these const. Yeah, this one is just a hard-coded icon. This doesn't need to rebuild. So check this out. So let me rebuild and let's take a look. Right now, you're just gonna see okay, it's gonna blow up. Who's gonna guess it's gonna blow up? Why is it gonna blow up? Because I haven't injected it. There you go. See, I already knew that it was gonna blow up because I forgot to add it here. So you need to add it to your providers. Remember, I use the multi-provider from the provider package, and then all I do is just add my additional provider in here called Score Panel Service. Now let's rebuild. Let's go back to our game header because this is where we're concentrating our logic. And now if I click start, it's saying invalidate format because I missed. See, I missed the thing. I messed up my format. There you go. I wanted to do it on purpose. I wanted just to show that. That was an example. I didn't mean to do this. This was meant to be an example. And I messed it up. Anyway, I'm going to fix this later. But at least I wanted to show you that part. So check this out. If I rebuild it now is the definite one. I just wanted to show us an example and then I messed it up. But anyway, this is what I wanted to do. See, it's showing the proper format. But we need somebody to trigger it. Who's going to trigger it? We need somebody to trigger it. Who's going to trigger it? When the game page starts, I want somebody to start it. When the game starts, I want it to start. Where is the best place to start it? In the game page. So for example, the game page could actually do this. I could go to the page, or even the game service. The game service could actually do it. But for example, for now, I'm just going to show you a very quick and efficient way for you to, for example, like invoke that method that we created. Let me do it right here. For example, you see the game page? The game page could actually just come over here and say Score Panel Service, and just invoke it. Provider.off Score Panel Service like this. And then I say listen false like this. And then all I need to do is when I navigate to this page, simple as just saying Score Panel Service dot start time. Simple as that. Check this out. Now if you see the time is at 0, now if I just run it one more time, the game page is only gonna build one time because it's a stateless widget. So it's gonna call it once and then that's it. But now I call it in one place and then another widget is gonna react, the Score Panel widget. So if I do that, you see now that the time is changing. That is what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, I can definitely change a couple of things because I see that the icons are shifting. But you see the timer is actually happening. So that is just, you see how simple it was? The game page starts the time. The Score Panel is the one that reacts to it. So I like that. There you go. So now the next thing that I want to say is like, okay, so now let's truly deduct the lives. I can definitely deduct the lives right there. Let me finish the game. I wanted to fix that piece right there. I want to wrap each one of these rows inside of like an expanded. That way they're all like the same size. I'm sorry, they compete for space in their parent row. I wanted to be more explicit on that. It's supposed to be the same size. They're gonna behave in a very responsive way. And then all I'm gonna do here is just wrap them inside expanded. So each one will have a flex of 1. Expanded is nothing more than a shortcut of a widget that has a flex fit of actually, see, you see the expanded right here? The expanded is nothing more than a widget that has a flex of 1. And then if you see it right here, the default, for example, like for the expanded is a widget that has a flex of 1 pretty much. So I just wanted to point you to that direction. So let me reload. And now you will see that at least it's gonna look much better when it starts the clock. When I do start, immediately the clock starts. I need to maybe now align those guys to the right. Let's do that. So my column right here, I want to say cross alignment, and I can do that. I can say like cross alignment and so that they can align. But for example, the particular alignment on that column, I kind of want it to be like you see like all those icons right there, like they're showing there. I definitely want to make sure that for example, like at least these 2 rows right here, this is correct, the cross alignment end, but at least these guys need to be main axis alignment dot end, and this one as well. I want the rows to be main aligned to the end. You see these icons, they're like up here. I want them to go all the way to the end. That way, now they look much better. You see, now they will be like anchored to the right-hand side. That's what I want to do. Let's continue, guys. We're almost done. We're almost about time. Just wanted to remind you, tweet with the hashtag Flutter. I was going to say Flutter Vikings. Flutter Live Coding. Tweet with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding so you can get a chance to win one of these cool Flutter t-shirts. Just stay tuned. I'm almost about to wrap. And at the end of this session, I am going to be raffling a Flutter t-shirt. That way you could, I'm going to ship it to you. For those of you international, let's say attendees, it takes a little bit to get where you are because of the international aspect. If you're in the US, you're going to get it right away. But as far as like for those of you who are international, it may take a little while, but it always gets there. But it's a very cool Flutter t-shirt, just as a token of my appreciation for you to sticking around and being there with me. Thank you, everybody. Let's continue. Just wrapping up. Now that you see that we see the time and all of that, everything is coming out the way that we wanted. Let's now say, for example, now what I want to do is actually add the losing page. You want to show, for example, like when this, for example, like this guy loses. You see, it says 3. Then it says it has to say 2. I'm gonna deduct it now. Every time that I swipe and then I do like the wrong swiping, I want to deduct the let's say the score. Let me show you how to do that. Like right now, we already have all the hooks. All I need to do is just implement that when I do the swiping. For example, check this out. In the swiping gesture, all I need to implement is right here. For example, in my service that I created earlier, the one that says for a score panel service here, for example, every time I increment the lives, remember, all I need to say is lives ++ and notify listeners. That's all I'm gonna say. You see, I am actually making my service very encapsulated. It performs all the logic that it needs to do, and the widgets don't care about it. The decrement lives, all this is gonna do is just say lives minus and just say notify listeners. That's all it's gonna do. And then now what I need to do is decrement or increment depending on when I either earn a life or when I when I lose, I need to decrement it. So check this out. If I go to the service called swiping gesture service, every time I swipe and then I miss one swipe, I'm gonna say if the leave is the correct one, then I'm gonna do a proper swipe. Else, I'm gonna have to say here, not only just splash it, I need to then invoke that service. Like for example, like inject that service and then deduct the life. That's what I need to do. For example, in this particular case, what I can say is, for example, deduct a life. I can inject the service. I can inject the service of the score panel in here and then deduct it. But what you could also do is actually for example, in this particular case, what I really want to do is encapsulate some of these services and have like one service manage all that functionality for me. Cirilo, what do you say, brother? This is the advantage of using your logic out of your widgets or pages. Correct. Cirilo just spoke for like 1,000 years right there. You always keep your logic outside of your widgets, outside of your composes. I know that you're an Android expert. You probably do the same thing with Jetpack Compose and your composables and your recompositions and all of that. You keep all that logic outside, and then you let your composables like handle all that logic. So thank you, Cirilo, for your knowledge and your input. That's exactly what I was looking for. So great. So what I really want to do a little bit of refactoring, I can show you right here, but I'll do a refactor anyway. Check this out. So I can inject this service called score panel service, and then I do score panel service, and then just say, provider.off score panel service, and then say context, listen, false. And then here, all I'm going to say is just deduct a life. That's all you're going to say. Score panel service, decrement lives. That's all I'm gonna do. If I miss a swipe and then you see the message, you should see the number decreasing, that number in there, in here, like in the number 3, right? Also, I can show that in this widget, in the splash widget. I can come over here in the widget and say, like, in the splash message, you see that I have a number hard-coded right here. It says like number 3 all the time hard-coded. I can just wrap this little guy, just this little guy, inside of a consumer. And then every time that the decrement lives changes, I can just do it right here. Check this out. I can just wrap this inside let me wrap this text widget inside a builder. And then I can just do this. Look, consumer, score panel service. Do this, score service. I want to call it score panel service. And then say like child. And check this out. All I'm going to say is just consume the lives in here. See, I'm making really this widget very encapsulated, completely decoupled, but it's still listening to that widget, to that notification, that broadcast being made. So now check this out. I'll rebuild one more time. You will see now how the logic is kept outside, but widgets react to changes happening to that service. So now if I do start, you see that the lives says 3. Now I'll swipe in the wrong way. Look. You see? It says, well, I need to fix it, of course. It needs to say score panel service dot, what did it say? Lives. That's what I meant. Let me rebuild it one more time because I just forgot to say lives there. Now check it again. So if I do start, look at the number 3 up here. And then if I do this, look, it says 2. And then here it says 2. If I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, you say 1. If I keep doing this, it keeps deducting the lives. But you see that the whole page is now rebuilding. It's only this message widget, that little widget, and this up here. So you keep them completely decoupled, but they're communicating with the score panel service to get the values that they need and rebuild only when they need. I'm not rebuilding the whole widget. I'm only rebuilding this little text widget, which is the only thing that needs to change. The whole thing doesn't need to rebuild. That's why I like to keep this logic completely separate, completely decoupled. So yes, that is exactly how you go about it when you decouple like the rendering logic from this type of logic. You see, I made it very simple. All of these things I can make them like constant, because these don't need to rebuild. Only this little widget needs to rebuild. Nobody else. And you see, you can just make like all of these here constant. That's it. If I rebuild, now you see how the widget, that one is updating. The time is constantly going. You see that the lives are deducting. And when I do this, now you see that. There we go. Perfect. You see, they keep deducting. But what I really want to do now, just to wrap it up, is actually just to say, if let's say, for example, or actually we're actually at time, we can probably stop it right now, do the raffle, and then in the next session we're going to continue. I know some of you really want to see more stuff going on, but of course let's keep it at a decent time, because otherwise I'm going to continue building, and I definitely need to be conscious of everybody's times and the stuff that we're building here. I know that you would have stayed with me here until like 1 a.m. in the morning just building this application. But let's stop it right now. Let's do the raffle. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody who accompanied me in this session. Please make sure, I'm going to give you 1 minute, one more minute for you to tweet Flutter Live Coding. And now you're going to get the chance to get one cool Flutter t-shirt courtesy of Roman Just Codes. Just as a token of my appreciation for you to be there. Thank you, everybody. Cirilo, Damien, Randall, Serhan, are you still there, buddy? Daddy, I see you there. Nick, are you here? Who else was in the house? Serhan, you're there, brother. How you doing? Yes, a bunch of people. Jose, a bunch of people joined today. Thank you so much. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to do the raffle. I'll give you 1 minute to do a Twitter. You tweet with the hashtag. I'm gonna drop it in the chat again. You do Flutter Live Coding. Make sure that is the hashtag that you use to actually do so that we can get the raffle. So make sure that you do that. Juan Carlos, how you doing, buddy? I sent you a message. Your t-shirt is on its way. Thank you so much for joining. Let's do that. Those are old ones, guys, so forget about these. Let's do another one. I'm gonna do import Twitter users with the hashtag Flutter Live Coding. So I'm gonna give you 1 more minute to do that. Let's see if you guys, who's there. It's loading right now. Let's see. Oh, we have quite a turnout today. I'm just gonna take myself out because I don't count. But thank you everybody for tweeting Flutter Live Codes, for joining me in this session. We're gonna continue next week. Same thing, same time, same same folks if you guys wanna continue helping me out. So yes, let's now raffle an amazing Flutter t-shirt just like this one. You're gonna get it at home just by tweeting Flutter Live Coding. So thank you so much. Let's spin the wheel and good luck to everybody. Who's the lucky winner of a Flutter t-shirt tonight? Let's do this. Good luck to everybody. Let's see who's gonna get the Flutter t-shirt. And Dyer, so he just stepped out, but I'm gonna send it to you, buddy. Dyer, thank you. Are you still there? If not, anyway, I'm gonna send it to you. Thank you so much. Dyer, you won the Flutter t-shirt. I'm gonna ship it to you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you everybody for joining. I just hope that there it is. So thank you so much again for joining. I hope that you join in the next session. My name is Roman Jacques, Flutter GDE. This is Live Coding After Hours, Flutter Edition. Thank you everybody for joining. See you on the next one. Make sure that you tune in. Subscribe, like if you find these live streams useful. And of course, follow me on Twitter, also on LinkedIn. Let's try to connect. But anyway, make sure to join in the next one because we're going to continue building more Flutter applications, this application in particular. I am Roman, Flutter GDE. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. See you next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Have a great night.